Hello and welcome to the May 2023 edition of SPS Global Insights Report. This report is intended to inform you of critical incidents around the world relating to kidnap, ransom, extortion and piracy. Starting in Colombia, while once coined the kidnapping capital of the world, Colombia has made significant progress in tackling domestic instability. Yet there remain long-standing issues with high levels of kidnapping, as political instability is still an issue. While reported kidnapping incidents have declined from 3,600 in 2000 to just 135 incidents in 2021, this had been partly offset by dramatic rises in extortion, up 246% over the last decade, as rebel organizations transitioned to less monitored means in order to fund their operations. However, while evolving, the threat of kidnapping persists across the nation's oil fields. On March 2nd, more than 80 police officers and oil workers were held hostage as rural and indigenous communities descended on a Chinese-owned oil field. Further concern comes from the mounting frequency of express kidnappings, which have meant that while long-term hostages have been less frequent, foreign nationals are exposed to increased risks by small criminal operations across Colombia's major cities, reportedly prevalent through fake taxi operations. On to Zimbabwe now, and much of Zimbabwe's kidnap, ransom and extortion risks stem from criminal gangs with a strong link to transnational human trafficking, as Zimbabwe serves both as a transitional point and a destination market for the purpose of human trafficking. While the nation witnessed just 49 cases of kidnappings and sexual violence according to the UN through 2022, economic headwinds threaten to increase KRE risks, as the country witnessed a 45% increase in criminality between Q1 and Q4 of 2022, as inflation skyrocketed at 172%, increasing the incentives for lawlessness. The country has long struggled to tackle such crime levels as police and government corruption undermines an effective response, with 25% of public servants having paid a bribe in the last 12 months, according to Transparency International. The Philippines has witnessed an alarming rise in kidnappings throughout 2022, according to the Movement for the Restoration of Peace and Order organization. This comes as the nation is ranked 6th out of all countries in Asia in the Global Organized Crime Index, as the country continues to battle an array of organized criminal networks. Much of the country's kidnappings is linked to the Philippine offshore gaming operations sector, which places Chinese foreign nationals that are heavily involved in the sector at a heightened risk. Further concerns to foreign nationals come from the prevalence of Islamic terrorist groups operating in the country, notably in the south of the country, through groups such as Daesh, Abu Sayyaf Group, and Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters. While high-profile media cases have been few and far between, the kidnapping and subsequent murder of a pharmaceutical CEO in July 2022 gained attention for its high-value nature. Not only were $100,000 and 2 expensive watches extorted, but after his murder, the criminal gangs still attempted to demand a ransom of $2 million, showing the increasingly brazen acts of criminal organizations looking for financial gain. In the first 3 months of 2023, there were a reported 27 incidents of piracy. While this is a nearly 33% decrease on the preceding 4-year average, recent higher-profile cases have occurred off West Africa. While the Gulf of Guinea is an area of declining risk, it remains one of the most violent regions for piracy activities, responsible for 54% of all violent impacts on crew members through 2023 to date, including the kidnapping of 6 members of a Danish-owned Liberian flagged oil and chemical tanker. While piracy across the globe has declined, following the COVID relaxation in China and subsequent increases in Southeast Asian shipping, the Singaporean Strait has experienced a nearly 3-fold increase in cases of piracy and maritime robbery in the Q1 average of 2022 to 2023, compared to the Q1 average in the preceding 3 years, as it becomes a new global flashpoint responsible for nearly 30% of global piracy and maritime robberies in the first 3 months of 2023. Globally, kidnappings and abductions are increasingly being perpetrated at the hands of national governments in the form of unlawful detainment, with a 580% increase in the average number of US nationals wrongly detained by foreign states between the previous 2 decades. Out of a global prison population of 11.5 million, 1 in 3 inmates are held without trial. The use of extended pre-trial detainment has been coupled with the geopolitical imprisonments as the world becomes ever fragmented. Conflict in Europe and tensions in Southeast Asia all fuel a new wave of political imprisonments, as the recent case of Wall Street journalist Evan Gershkovich highlights, as the first US journalist unlawfully detained on espionage charges since the Cold War, as political detainees are increasingly utilised for political motivations. We hope our SPS Global Insights report has been of value and urge you to read the full report for a comprehensive overview on critical incidents around the world relating to kidnap, ransom, extortion and piracy.